don't even know if I have any of these. There are 8 days and 8 witnesses for you to inhabit. Oh my gosh, for us to inhabit. I have been, showing a lot of mysteries, big surprise. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Leandra the TBR0, and my goal is to one day lessen my physical TBR until it hits 0. Welcome to another video, and today's theme is a Bookshelves Scavenger Hunt, round 2. So this is the second time that I'm doing a scavenger hunt among my bookshelves, and I would love to extend the invitation for you to do it as well. What I'll do is pull one of the suggestions from the Jovial jar of diced tomatoes, and on the screen I'll give 10 seconds for you to find your book. Obviously, take your time, pause the video, run to your shelves, see if you can find a book, and then we'll all come back together and I'll show you what I ended up picking in my own bookshelf scavenger hunt. And if you can, or if you want, put in the comments which ones you ended up finding on your bookshelves. I'm going to try and focus on books that I haven't read yet but I own, hence the name TBR0. But if I think of a really good one that I already have read, then I have no shame in advertising how good that book is and talking about it and recommending that you read it as well. Let's get into the first round of this second scavenger hunt. So it could be genre, it could be a certain letter in the title, something on the cover, it could be a specific area in my shelves. Let's see what the first pick is. It's going to be name in the title. All right, let's do it. Welcome back. Again, if you want to, please let me know what you ended up picking in the comments. But what I ended up choosing is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I believe that in the UK version it's just the 7 deaths, but because in the US another book was coming out with a similar name, the publishers decided to give it a 7.5 deaths, which will be very interesting to see if I can find 7.5 deaths in this book. From what I can tell, it's a historical fiction mystery, and of course it follows Evelyn Hardcastle. I ended up also getting this book as a gift from one of my closest friends named Shanika, and I'm also sad that I haven't read it since she gave it to me for my birthday, I believe. Maybe it was 2 years ago, but it does look really fun. It says that Evelyn Hardcastle will be murdered at 11 p.m. There are 8 days and 8 witnesses for you to inhabit. Oh my gosh, for us to inhabit, we will only let you escape once you tell us the name of the killer. Understood? Then let's begin. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. So it sounds like this is multiple POVs, and every day you are experiencing the events through a different person who was there, and that's why Evelyn Hardcastle dies 7 times or 7.5 times, because you're witnessing it from a different person's perspective. This is insane. Oh my gosh, no wonder I see it everywhere and people are so excited about this book. Okay, very exciting. Let me know if you've read this and if it's as good as it sounds like it is. On to round 2. Ooh. So second to the top shelf. So for me, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shelves. So mine's going to be this one right here, the 4th highest, or second to the top. Let's do it. All right, I hope that your hunt was successful. What's funny is that the shelf I was just looking at is the same shelf that I found this one on. So that one's getting a lot of looks today. I ended up choosing The Killing of Polly Carter. This also has a name in it. Oh my gosh, both of these fit both prompts. Is there a theme going on? Anyway, so this is by Robert Thorogood. If you've heard of him, it may be because I love him so much. He's the creator of Death in Paradise. He's also the writer of the Marlowe Murder Club, which is also such a fun mystery. It's very reminiscent of Richard Osman's kind of modern but cozy with elderly characters vibes. That's where we're going for with that book. But this one, The Killing of Polly Carter, this is the second book in his Death in Paradise book versions series. I read the first one, which was A Meditation on Murder, with my mom, and we both loved it so much that we then proceeded to decide to read the entire series. Fortunately, of course, I already owned it, and she ended up having to buy her own copies, and we meant to read this. Actually, it's quite funny that I picked this one because we were supposed to read it, I think, in August, but again, life gets crazy. But it is definitely on my radar, and I'm really looking forward to returning to D.I. Poole because he was my favorite in the TV series as well. Definitely go check it out. These are individual mysteries, so reading this first or watching that one first, there will be no spoilers. So yeah, enjoy. Number 3. Ooh, my gosh. I'm not used to reading this kind of scandalous language. Apparently I was very saucy, and I said, get personal, bitch. Memoirs and essays. Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay, cool. That'll be fun. See what we can find. So I ended up knowing exactly which book I was going for this round, so it did not take me any time. And that was Audre Lorde's A Burst of Light and Other Essays. Back in January, I read her essay and speech collection, Sister Outsider, and I still think about that every day, probably, because of how thoughtful and fascinating it was. Because Audre Lorde is not only a poet, a lot of people know her as a poet, but she's also a Black lesbian feminist activist. She had to go through so many hurdles, so many obstacles, and it's really fascinating to hear how feminism is viewed from her perspective, especially since I'm a cis white woman, and it was really interesting, and I really appreciate her so much. And so I ended up finding this collection not long ago. This is a very recent purchase, I have to admit. I know I'm Leandra the TBR0, but I couldn't say no to this book. And it's because when I was back in Philadelphia, that was the meeting point between a friend who's currently living in New York City and myself, who's in southern PA. So we met up for a weekend in Philadelphia. She humored me and we went to 6 different bookshops. It was brilliant. I was in heaven. And what was so fascinating is that these bookshops were within a few blocks of each other, and they were all very different themed. We had used books, we had independent bookstores, we had a anarchy themed bookstore, The Wooden Shoe, which is where I found this one. We also had one that focused on African American culture, and I had another one that we went to that was like yoga focused. So it's just such a good time. So if you are planning a time to visit Philadelphia, if you live near there, definitely check out their bookshops. But anyway, this is a very short, quick read, I'm gonna assume, but I'm gonna savor it as much as I can when I finally read it. Oh my gosh, just look at that cover too. It's a good one. On to round 4. I don't even know if I have any of these. YA romance. That's 2 genres that I'm not very familiar with, to be honest. Why would I do that? Why would I put that in there? I guess I'm gonna wish us both luck. All right, break. Okay, I hope you were successful, because surprisingly, so was I. I will start off by giving a recommendation, because I did see on my have read shelves that one that I absolutely love, and it's not only a YA romance, but it's a YA fantasy romance. It's called The Bone Spindle by Leslie Vedder. I'll put her covers, beautiful cover, to the side. And I know that the second book is coming out in February, I think, but this one was so good. So if you happen to have bought it recently in this year, because it was a new release for 2022 and you haven't read it yet, highly recommend it. It's so good. Or check out your library, see if they have it, request them to get it too, because that's another great way to support authors and libraries as well. But the one that I ended up choosing, that's on my own TBR shelf, is A Study in Charlotte. This is by Brittany Cavallaro, and I believe it's a series as well, but I only own book 1. I think I was going through a phase where I really liked the idea of mystery reimaginings, and there are so many that exist when it comes to Sherlock Holmes. I am a huge fan of the Sherlock Holmes spin-off reimagining series, which is Lady Sherlock, and that's by Sherry Thomas. I've read the first 2 books, and oh my gosh, I've been meaning to get to book 3 because I have been thinking about book 2 a lot lately, even though I read book 2 months and months ago. So that in itself is telling me that maybe it's the autumnal feels that are getting me into wanting to return to 19th century London. That's probably what it is. So anyway, I ended up picking this up during that time when I was really into that, and I just never picked it up. But I didn't realize at the time that it is a YA book. And it's a murder mystery, but it's also a romance. It mentions this idea of like, ooh, it mentions that the last thing Jamie Watson wants is a rugby scholarship to Sherringford, a Connecticut prep school just an hour away from his estranged father. But that's not the only complication. Sherringford is also home to Charlotte Holmes, the famous detective's great-great-great-granddaughter, who has inherited not only Sherlock's genius, but also his volatile temperament. From everything Jamie has heard about Charlotte, it seems safer to admire her from afar. And I'm pretty sure there is a murder. It does say it's thrilling, and it says edge of your seat suspense. So yeah, prep school environment, totally a YA romance. Woohoo! And an interesting spin on the Holmes-Watson dynamic. Very interesting. Number 5. Maybe this would be the last round. This will be a really quick, short bookshelf scavenger hunt. So get ready. This is going to be important. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it says Seaside Locale. I also spelled it L-O-C-A-L, which is just local, but I covered my finger over where the E should be because I was going to pretend that I didn't misspell that. But I already gave myself away. So Seaside Locale, somewhere that is on the seaside, on the coast somewhere. We're going to have to do some thinking on this one. I found a winner. Okay, so I was struggling because I was really tempted to choose a book that's on a boat. I was thinking of Miss Aldridge Regrets or A Caribbean Mystery by Agatha Christie. I own both of those, haven't read either yet. Well, I don't own Miss Aldridge Regrets. It's a library book that I'm very excited to read, but I really wanted to make it seaside, meaning it's on the coast, where it's on land that's near water, and I ended up choosing The Cornish Coast Mystery. That's not what it's called. The Cornish Coast Murder by John Boode. And this is one that I've really been meaning to read because I haven't read anything by John Boode before, but he's also a well-known Golden Age detective fiction author. I don't think I actually have any of those on my list thus far, but I have been, showing a lot of mysteries. Big surprise. I tend to read mostly mysteries, and that's mostly what's on my TBR shelf. But this is interesting because it's giving me Murder at the Vicarage vibes by Agatha Christie because we have a vicar as a main character. So Reverend Dodd, apparently he's the vicar of a quiet Cornish village, and the last thing he wants is for a murder to impact his coastal parish. But of course it does, and apparently it's a secretive and ill-tempered magistrate who's found at his house with a bullet through his head. And so the vicar has to team up, I think, with the inspector who's of the town to figure out what happened and bring peace back to this coast. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. I love the cover. It's one of those really nice looking British Library crime classics / Poison Pen Press books because they're kind of a team. But yeah, I'm really interested to know what you ended up finding for this because I think this is one of my favorite settings, whether it be a mystery or any other type of genre. Just the idea of the seaside in a book of fiction just sounds great. And that's a wrap. Check out the 5 books that I ended up choosing for these 5 rounds. I hope that you enjoyed yourselves during this as well. I hope you participated, and if you did, consider giving it a like, consider subscribing to my channel, and give me some recommendations for how to do this again, how to make it even more fun, more challenging. Maybe give me some more suggestions to add to the jar because eventually it's gonna run out. I again, thank you so much for watching, for engaging, and I hope you have a lovely day, a lovely rest of your reading month, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!